And we're back. Bitcoin has become the most popular cryptocurrency in South Africa, easily beating its competitor, Ethereum. I hope that's how you say it. But is it worth investing in? What do you need to consider before investing in cryptocurrency? Mpo and I are joined in studio by a blockchain consultant from the Blockchain Academy who teaches the know-how of blockchain technology, and economist Kanti Pai. Kanti, I'll start with you. I have it on good authority that Bitcoin emerged in 2009. So what I want to know is, why so popular, all of a sudden in 2017?
Because everybody is saying there is lots of money to be made. And I think anything where you tell people, one of the things we're introducing is that, Mpo has made millions. And of course, it's going to be popular, right? Because anytime you introduce something like that, everybody wants to get involved. And I think that is one particular thing. I suppose it's very different. There was a time, for example, the currency trading also became very popular, right? Everybody's making so much money.
Yes,
and we are seeing, exactly, we're seeing all these pictures of people taking pictures of other people's cars and saying, oh, look what I've done and how much money I've made. And so I think that's the part that actually is making it much more. Not so much, actually, I think, that people are that informed about it.
Why do I feel like you're a skeptic?
Because I think it isn't what it's being represented to be. On the one side, they talk about that this is a currency. Currencies actually act very differently. This is an investment. I think that's one thing you can say. You can say you're investing much like you trade things in the stock exchange. I don't think it's a currency because currencies, for example, are things that you and I can both use and we can participate in. You don't get just a section of the population use a
But
currency.
Why is the section of the population not taking part?
Because they actually haven't trusted in it. And the second part of a currency, right, is that actually something that we've all agreed is something we all trust. So if you go to Eman Ramzeni and you go to some spaza shop and you want to buy a bottle of beer or whatever, you should be able to actually present a thing. We are not quite there, so I wouldn't want to call it a currency. And I think actually more for me importantly is that there isn't really something I feel like is the underlying value of this thing. When they talk about demand, they are selling the currency itself, as they call it. But they're not. But currency for us, its value is actually in what it can buy. So the rand is what the rand can actually buy. That's its value. If the rand can buy you a house, that's the value of the rand. It isn't the value of you and me can exchange it and then suddenly we've created value. You know what I mean? And I think that's part of the problem, that you can't quite feel. You were trying to ask them for the longest time. So what is this thing? And it's difficult to actually come.
Carel, jump in here. Let's talk about blockchain technology. What is it? How does it tie into Bitcoin?
So Bitcoin and blockchain technology basically goes together. Bitcoin invented the blockchain, and I'm sure you've heard that the blockchain will take over the world. There's lots of things. There's lots of talk out there that's similar to what the internet will do. And this guy Satoshi Nakamoto, whom we all spoke about, the guy who invented it, he basically invented this concept of the blockchain. And it's exciting. It's a very exciting concept. It is gonna take over the world. I believe it, and it goes together with Bitcoin. In 2025, every business will be using the blockchain, similar to how every business is using the internet today. You won't be able to run a business without it. So it's very exciting technology, and we're living in exciting times.
Because my next question was going to be for you, Mpo, and say, okay, I can see Kanti and why he's skeptical, and it's basically, I think here we're sitting and we're discussing whether the world is flat or is it round, right? Because these discussions happened on a ship somewhere with Galileo Galilei, and they were like, "Hi, Christopher Columbus," you know what I'm saying? So maybe this is it. But what can you equate it to? Say to me, Anele, remember when people said this? And look where we are now. Give me an example like that, because I think I'm leaning toward Kanti's side. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
You know what happened? In the 90s, when the internet first came on, people said, this is for gangsters. This is for criminals. We don't understand this thing. What is this thing? And as time goes on, today here we sit, everybody uses the internet. And I'd like to equate Bitcoin to that specifically as the internet of money, the digital currency. That when it's starting, you've got a lot of people saying, guys, we're not sure about this. We don't know what this is. The same way you had people saying that about the internet when it actually started. You had people saying the internet is not going to last. How is it going to penetrate the whole entire world? And today, everywhere you go, there's internet. So that's what's currently happening. People are not well educated about cryptocurrencies. And because of that, they're unable to make an informed decision. If you had to explain to someone that cryptocurrencies could solve issues like a currency collapsing in Zimbabwe, then people start saying, okay, then we want to listen. If you had to explain to someone that blockchain could stop corruption, then people say, okay, we want to listen. But it takes a bit of time for people to get it, understand it, and evolve with it. But those that get in early will always benefit from the technology. And that's what we see
But
happening.
isn't that what a pyramid scheme is? I'm going to come back to you. Yes, no?
Exactly.
There's another thing that he touched on. I get that question a lot. Where's the value in Bitcoin? You know, what provides its value? And I actually brought something with me here today
Money!
to explain that to you. So check here. This side I have a 50 Rand note.
Yes.
It's worth something. I can buy a burger with it, which I'm going to do after the show. And this side I have, how many is this? Yes, there's a lot of zeros. 50 billion Zim dollars. It's printed on the same paper.
Yes.
And, you know, so who decides that this is worth a hamburger and this is worth maybe starting a fire? I think that's maybe the best thing I can do with that. It's supply and demand. Just
Definitely.
like you said earlier as well. You know, it's simple supply and demand. Now, the demand side, that's the government deciding how much, or the supply side, sorry, that's the government deciding how much money they're going to print. And, you know, Zimbabwe always obviously printed a lot of it.
Yeah.
And on the demand side, it's, with a currency, it's based on GDP growth. You know, it's perception. It's people that want the money. Based on GDP growth, unemployment, all those nice figures that Slanti can tell you a lot about. So, and it's exactly the same with Bitcoin. The only difference is there's no central authority, there's no government, no CEO that can create more of it or can manipulate the value in any way. So
Who's in charge of Bitcoin?
Blockchain.
Yes, but who's in charge of blockchain?
So the technology is designed for
Oh,
everyone.
Who's the guy? Because there's a guy. There's a guy.
And that's what people don't understand. There's no, you know, when you hear about money, you hear, okay, the Rothschilds sort of create, you know, have a lot of power and transfers to reserve banks, etc. Yeah. With blockchain, everyone involved is everybody who's actually involved. There is no man sitting somewhere who can decide, I'm doing this tomorrow and it all collapses.
Who mans the computers?
Developers.
Who's
no, but every developer, the source code is shared amongst every developer. So every developer has the source code. And the reason why you can't hack Bitcoin is because every transaction is interconnected to another. So for you to hack Bitcoin, you need to hack everybody's computer and hack that specific transaction. And that's impossible to hack.
Was Hillary Clinton not hacked?
No, but everybody's computer, the whole entire
Was she not like the secretary of like the most powerful country
No, but that's
in the
one
world?
computer. So you'd have to hack everyone's computer. China, Angola, America, Europe, Germany, every single person's computer. And that's impossible, or that has not been done. So that's the
It's not about hacking. You know, they are misrepresenting the whole thing. You know, when you asked him to give you an example, he gave you an example of the internet.
Yes.
What he should have given you an example of is online banking or internet banking, because people kept worried about whether one day we'll be able, the safety of this thing.
Yeah.
You know, can we actually all ever, you know, subscribe? And there are many people, obviously, who've never subscribed that you can't reach with online banking. Online banking is not money. It's just a medium of exchange. So we all deposit our money in the banks, and we can all then transfer it amongst us. This is what they do with their wallets, right? They deposit money in this wallet, and then they can share it amongst themselves in terms of these cryptocurrencies. It is not the same thing as actually creating a separate and the demand vehicle. And the demand that he was talking about in terms of money. What we don't demand actually money. We demand the things that money can buy. So that 50 Rand actually at some point was worth much more than a burger. He actually probably can't buy a burger with that 50 bucks. But before he could buy 20 burgers, right? And now it buys less. That's true of money. So, and this whole thing about supply and demand, that actually you supply less, they've already started breaking up. There was a time when Bitcoin promised that there would be only finite. And then they start breaking it down into different pieces. It is, don't you actually break Bitcoin?
No,
they're disagreeing with you, gentlemen. Why are you disagreeing with
That's not what actually happened. And I just want to say, he's comparing it to internet banking. That's a method to transfer funds. Bitcoin is not internet banking.
It's trading.
Bitcoin is it's got an actual value. It's an actual digital coin that's created. It's not like FNB internet banking, no. It's an actual digital coin.
What? Yes, Carl.
But I do see some analogy to internet banking here, is that people don't understand it. So if you go back 20 years, there's a lot of people who will stay away from the internet. I mean, I don't want to put my money on internet banking. I'll rather go to a bank because I trust the bank.
Yeah.
Nowadays, everyone transfers, EFTs is common and so on. So I think Lanti will also buy some Bitcoin, maybe in 20 years from now, similar to like that he has an internet banking account at the moment.
It hasn't run out, because apparently this Bitcoin, like there's so little of it, you must get in now. Listen, guys, I'm out of time, but I am not out of questions, nor am I out of confusion. You guys are coming back, okay? We are going to bring more people in here, but first I must go to this course that Dimpo was speaking about, so I also come back Okay. And I'm a little bit enlightened before I become like client who's like, you guys are misrepresenting the entire thing. Okay, thank you so much, Carl. Thank you so much, Mpho. Thank you so much, Klanti. Woo! Does it sound any more clear? Is it more confusing? The take-home is investing in cryptocurrency is risky business, so do your homework, okay? But at the same time, Carl and Mpho, they're calm about it. They're like, listen, jump on board, get in now. Time for a quick break. On the other side, Prime Circle.